Medikeri, a hill station in the Coorg district of Karnataka, is home to some of the best resorts in South India. I was lucky to spend a night in one of them, and it was sad that I couldn't stay any longer. Sad not because of the luxury it offered, but because of the road that led me to it.
The roads to Medikeri have over 80 kilometers of twisties. These are narrow roads, but the tarmac has awesome grip and the corners are fast. And my vehicle for these corners is the Mahindra Mojo.
Yes, you heard that right. Mahindra Mojo, it's finally here. And it's much better than what I expected after witnessing that industrial contraption that they showed us 5 years back. Bike still follows the same quirky design theme. They say it has a creature-inspired face. I guess they're talking about an owl. The face looks a tad too big for the rest of the body. They have tried to create symmetry and road presence with the twin headlamps and the twin exhaust mufflers, but they lose the balance with those offset horns. The forks are raked far outward and the twin-tube chassis grabs attention, but the prettiest angle is the tail, which has an appearance of a motorcycle much larger in capacity than a quarter-litre Challenger. Whenever I hear the word Mojo, the first thing that comes to my mind is Austin Powers. Heck, this bike even looks like it's made for Austin Powers. Look at those headlamps, they look like his high-power spectacles. Those LED eyebrows, they look like one of his naughty expressions. And specify this bike in the red and white color that Mahindra is offering, and it will match his retro style. Ideally then, I should have been dressed in some flashy colors for this film, but I am not. In fact, there is no real dress code for this motorcycle, because it looks part street bike, part tourer, and part motard or scrambler. But its intention is to be a sports tourer. There are, however, a couple of problems. The seat isn't generous enough for your pillion, and it slopes forward, so your pillion or your saddlebags are going to keep shifting forward every now and then. There aren't enough locations to securely tie your luggage either. The tank, however, has a nice flat and wide top. Even the knee recesses are quite generous, so you can easily mount your tank bags in there. Now the seating posture is a little relaxed, but the cushioning is a little too soft. So about 100-150 kilometers into the ride, and your bum and your back is going to start hurting. The forward set pegs also mean that this isn't a cornering tool. But despite that, I had tremendous fun on these roads. Though the front end is heavy and though not as sharp as the KTM's, the Mojo isn't late to turn in. On some bumpy corners, the front end squirmed a little, but the chassis ironed out the oscillations pretty well. The Mojo doesn't have a great cornering clearance, and those exhaust heat shields tend to scrape much before the feelers on the pegs.
But where the Mojo truly feels at home is out here on the highway. This is where you'll appreciate the relaxed nature of that engine. It's got a flat torque curve between 4,500 to 6,700 RPM, which makes for some good roll-on acceleration, and that aids overtakes even in the 6th gear. You can happily cruise at about 5,500 RPM, which will give you about 100 kilometers an hour on the speedo. Dial it up to 6,500 RPM and you have about 115 kilometers an hour on the speedo. And that's pretty good because it is under the speed limit for most highways in India and still pretty fast enough for your touring duties.
Mojo can achieve a top speed of over 150 kilometers an hour, and it also feels quite stable at those speeds. The engine revs quite smoothly, but the climb from 7,000 RPM to the 9,000 RPM red line is lazy, again highlighting that the mid-range is the strong point of this engine. The engine doesn't feel strained at any point. It is mated to a 6-speed gearbox and a twin muffler exhaust system. It sounds rather good, almost like a parallel twin at idling, but goes back to a typical single-cylinder note as the revs climb up. The engine refinement level is surprisingly good and is complemented by an equally smooth ride by the inverted forks and the rear monoshock. The Mojo practically took everything that we threw at it, and those G1 brakes, they are designed to be more progressive rather than sharp. Now that works very well on the highway, but out in the city it feels a little too lazy. They come with steel braided lines and sintered pads. Anti-lock brakes should come in a few months from now. Though the brakes are good, I don't like the fact that I couldn't grip the tank securely with my thighs under braking. What plays a very important role in the way the Mojo handles the brakes are the Pirelli Diablo Rosso 2 tires. Soft compound front and rear, these make for amazing grip through the corners. A fairly high silica content in them also ensures unbelievably good grip and braking in wet weather as well. In fact, it is such an integral part of the bike that it seems like any other brand of tires would just change the character of the Mojo and maybe even ruin it. They are to the Mojo what the Metzeler's are to the KTM twins, to say the least.
Speaking of which, the likes of Honda, Kawasaki and Yamaha have failed at making a hole in the wall made up of the KTM 200s and 390s, and I don't see the Mojo having a better chance. But the Mojo has good potential and shows that Mahindra has learned and unlearned a lot of things in the last 5 years. I believe that this platform has some serious potential to spawn a sports tourer and an adventure tourer, and the latter could make things very interesting.